It's time to wake up, witches. I'm your host, Kat Adams, and I'm here to remind you that no matter where you're at in life, you're not stuck. I am back, and I'm back with a new book to read, but it's not my usual type of book. It's actually a kid's book, and I'm highly recommending it because it is super cute and it raises awareness on abuse. So it's called Some Days He Growled by Nicole, Kimball, Ostrowski. I think that's how you say her name. The cover of the book's super cute. It's bright blue and it's got this wolf on there. And then he's looking at this ghost who looks super, super scared. So let me just read the back of this real quick. It says, but on some days, my wolf friend did not act like a friend at all. On Halloween night, Wolf and Ghost meet and become friends. What starts as a fun relationship turns into an unhealthy one when Wolf's behavior changes, seemingly out of nowhere. Wolf becomes mean and controlling, manipulating Ghost by following up with gifts, candy, and kind words. The cycle of kindness and mistreatment continues until Ghost decides this is not the afterlife it planned and chooses to make a change. Told in child-safe language and situations, this story is a critical introduction to the abuse cycle, whether it be from a domestic partner, friend, family member, or another relationship dynamic. It's a simple book. It's a picture book, but it's definitely cute. And I saw it and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to have it. I want to support that author. She's doing good work. And plus it's got like ghost and, Halloween night, and it's just cute. It's cute. And I think it would be a great book to share. So if you have somebody in your life that might need to share this with their children or even just themselves, hey, I'm an adult and I'm reading it. Definitely recommend picking it up. I'll put a link to it in the show notes. Today, we are continuing on with the series, Is My Husband Abusive or Is He Just an Asshole? And I'm going to talk about probably my favorite abuse to talk about. Not like I love to talk about abuse, right? I love to talk about overcoming abuse. I love to enlighten and empower women on abuse because a lot of us have been abused and not even known it. And that is because you might be emotionally abused. So we're going to go over some emotional abuse and what that means. The purpose of someone using emotional abuse against you is to break your spirit, to break you down, to feel like you're not ever capable of living without that person, to think that it makes you think that you are just stupid. You have no self-worth. They make you believe that nothing you do is right. You can have the house clean. I'm going to use an example of a stay-at-home mom, housewife, whatever, because, hey, own personal story time. There was a time when I had been so trained and manipulated and melded into what my abuser wanted me to be that I would have dinner on the table as soon as he came home from work. And now this is how much he trained me. He didn't even want to carry keys, okay? And this all goes back to last episode, intimidation and yada, 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 manipulation. So he didn't want to carry keys because he was just, I don't know, too cool. So he had rigged the house and all this IT stuff, which, oh my gosh, let me talk about tech abuse one day. Not on this episode, but so the house speakers, whatever, Alexa, she would tell me when he was nearby. It would detect his Wi-Fi signal somehow when he pulled into the neighborhood. And the speakers would say, he's home, unlock the door. Now, there's a lot of things wrong with that. But first, definitely a way of keeping me at home, right? If I have to be home to unlock the door. And what did I do? I did it. I unlocked the door as soon as he got home. Guess what? I also had food on the table. I had his robe and slippers out. House spotless, music, ambiance, candles lit, all that. So he could have a relaxing environment when he came home. Did I do it out of the goodness of my heart? Fuck no. I did it because I was scared as shit. Now with new husband, hell yeah, I do it out of the kindness of my heart because he'd do something like that for me. And I love him and he loves me and we respect each other and we're on equal playing ground. But with my abuser, that was not the case. I had to do all these things because I was made to do all these things, whether subtly or not. And guess what? It was never good enough. If you feel like you're never good enough in your relationship and you are exhausted and you're drained and you've tried everything, but they still tell you it's not enough, I got news for you. That's emotional abuse. And it is absolutely hard to pin down, hard to talk about. In the US, it's like 1 in 3 women are abused, but that number is actually probably much higher because we can't really measure emotional abuse. And a lot of people who are being emotionally abused have no idea what that is. But if you're getting that feeling like, man, no matter what I do, I'm just not good enough. And they're telling you, well, yeah, you had my dinner on the table, but it was a little bit cold. Maybe next time. Little tactics like that, it wears you down, it breaks you down, and it kills your spirit. And it's hard to come back from that, which is the whole point of my podcast and my book, You're Not Stuck, and talking to women is getting them to rewire their brain, because your abuser is wiring your brain to believe these things so you will not leave them. And the whole point of everything I do and this mumbo jumbo and this woo woo is to get you to return to yourself and get you back that self-confidence and let you know all that shit he's telling you, like you can't live with him, you're nothing, you're worthless, is straight up bullshit. And you've probably been fed those lies for a really long time and you believe it. And that's why it's so hard to leave, because you truly feel like you can't make it on your own. And I'm here to tell you, you can. You can not only make it on your own, but you can thrive on your own. Do not let him get in your head and screw with your emotions to where you are so broken down, so tired, so drained that you believe there's nothing better out there for you and this is just your life. Because I fell into that trap before and it is not a good feeling. There was a time where I just accepted like this is just my life. And it was hard. It was so hard. I was in such a deep pit of despair and misery, depression, all that, because I truly accepted it. I mean, y'all, I was on the edge of like some bad stuff. And I don't ever want anyone to get there because that's bullshit. He is bullshitting you. He is manipulating your emotions. That's what emotional abuse is. It's constantly putting you down. It's calling you names and making you feel bad about yourself. It's calling you stuff like, and if you have kids around, you might want to turn this down. It's calling you stuff like bitch and cunt, slut. They're not going to use your name because to use your name is going to have to, they're going to have to admit that you are an actual person and they don't see you as that because abusers, they literally feel superior to you and entitled to everything. That is to their core beliefs. Because they're screwed up and they're just assholes and abusive assholes. Don't get me wrong. It's not just an asshole. This is abusive tactics. But they truly believe that for many different reasons. Maybe they grew up believing that. Maybe it's a religious thing where it's like, hey, I'm superior to you because I'm a male. But they truly believe they're superior to you. They're not going to call you by your name. They're not going to show you respect. They're not going to treat you as an equal because they don't see you that way. And they want you to see through their eyes that you are not equal to them either. That they want you to believe that you need them to control you because you're too stupid to live your own life. It all comes down to emotional abuse being toying with your emotions. And that can be done in so many different ways. Another way I often see is jealousy, them trying to make you jealous. Maybe they have, a coworker that they're getting super, super close to, and they love to tell you about it and make you nervous and anxious and on edge, knowing damn good and well that coworker ain't even going to pay them a care of attention. But actually, that's not always true, because these narcissists are charmers, and it is easy for them to get someone in their grips that they believe are vulnerable people. So they seek those types out. They seek the types out that are broken down and they can play Prince Charming. So maybe they're cheating, maybe they're not. I don't know. I'm just saying, if they are making you jealous, and it's pretty obvious if they're doing it on purpose, come on, you're not stupid. That's toying with your emotions. I think one of the biggest emotions we feel as abuse victims is shame. And they love to make you feel shame. Shame for anything and everything. Shame for staying at home, taking care of the kids, not earning a paycheck. But at the same time, they're going to shame you if you go to work, because you're not going to be making enough money, and then you're not spending time with the kids. It is literally a no-win situation with abusers. So don't feel bad. Don't feel shameful for anything. Especially don't feel shameful for being in the situation that you're in. Sometimes they'll make fun of you for being abused. And they'll say, oh, well, you're overreacting. Oh, what are you going to do about it? You're such a crybaby. My ex loved to use that. I'm such a crybaby. There's nothing wrong with being upset and being depressed and miserable when you're a punching bag for someone else, or when you're a puppet for someone else, when you're constantly being controlled, manipulated, criticized, humiliated, put down. It is a natural reaction to feel awful about yourself and broken. Broken, right? We did the episode on You're Not Broken, You're Traumatized. That is exactly what this is. You're being traumatized. You're feeling worthless and unvalued because he does not value you. He thinks you're worthless, and he's trying to push his beliefs on you because that's how he traps you. So don't let him get to you. All that stuff you're feeling about, well, maybe I'm the crazy one, maybe I am overreacting. Maybe I shouldn't be upset about that. Bullshit. Your emotions and feelings are not going to lie to you. But also, your emotions and feelings aren't you. So don't let them overtake you, because it's a natural reaction to feel this way when you're being abused, but you're not that way, if that makes sense. So it's natural to feel worthless when your abuser is making you feel worthless, but your feeling of being worthless is not true. You're not worthless. You can do anything and everything that he's telling you can't do. Now, I was going to mix this episode with psychological abuse, but I don't think I am, because they are overlapping, but they're different. And I asked my new BFF, ChatGPT, to explain the differences. So let me explain to you the differences, and then we're going to have another episode covering psychological abuse, which I think is terrifying. If you have ever been your mind manipulated with these tactics that I'm about to read about, oh my gosh, it sucks. It sucks. All of this sucks, right? So that's why you need to get the fuck out. But anyways, let me read this. So there is a distinction between emotional abuse and psychological abuse, although the terms are sometimes used interchangeably. Both forms of abuse can have significant and lasting impacts on the victim's mental and emotional well-being. Emotional abuse generally refers to behaviors aimed at undermining an individual's self-worth, confidence, and emotional stability. It involves tactics such as constant criticism, humiliation, belittling, manipulation, and control. The primary focus of emotional abuse is on the victim's emotions and self-esteem, with the intent of diminishing their sense of self and creating dependency on the abuser. Exactly. This is what we were just talking about. It's being criticized and just worn down emotionally. So here's what it says about psychological abuse. Psychological abuse, on the other hand, encompasses a broader range of tactics that target an individual's mental and cognitive processes. It involves tactics aimed at distorting the victim's perception of reality, inducing fear and confusion, and undermining their mental well-being. Examples of psychological abuse include gaslighting, brainwashing, mind games, and manipulating the victim's thoughts, beliefs, and decision-making processes. So you see how that can kind of get mixed up, because emotional abuse, I believe, also does manipulate your thoughts and beliefs about yourself, but they are different tactics to get you there. While emotional abuse primarily focuses on damaging the victim's emotional well-being, psychological abuse encompasses a broader spectrum of tactics that also target the victim's cognitive functioning and mental state. And then it goes on to say, it's important to note that emotional and psychological abuse often coexist and overlap, and the specific behaviors and tactics used can vary from one abusive relationship to another. Both forms of abuse are harmful and can have severe consequences for victims' mental health and overall well-being. And then, dude, ChatGPT always is like so careful on what it says. It says, if you or someone you know is experiencing emotional or psychological abuse, it's crucial to seek support from professionals who can provide guidance, resources, and assistance in addressing the situation. Hey, guess what? I'm not a professional. I am just trying to spread some knowledge about this stuff. If you need help, you need to seek experts. You need to seek all those resources that I post in my show notes. So don't think I am a professional in this field. I have no credentials outside of I've experienced it. I've lots of years, over a decade, 15 plus years doing this. I do work also in this niche as a full-time job working with the Violence Against Women's Act and human trafficking, where I also see all this type of abuse and trauma. So yes, I do know what I'm talking about, but I am in no way an expert or professional. So please, please, please go seek out that help if you need to. I'm going to go ahead and close this out because I think we've talked enough on emotional abuse. And although I could go on this forever, I just want you to know that some of the signs you might want to start looking for if you're wondering, oh, am I being emotionally abused? Well, if he's criticizing you and calling you names, does he ever talk to you but use your name? That's one of them. Do you always feel bad about yourself? Do you feel like you can't measure up, like you're not good enough? There's another sign. Are you humiliated in public? That's a big one. Oh my gosh. In my book, You're Not Stuck, I do tell a story about being humiliated in public. It tore me down. And I see it all the time. I still see dudes doing this. I saw someone not long ago in a restaurant, and the woman was sitting there across from her husband, and she wasn't eating. I don't know why. I don't know if there's a story there, but she wasn't eating. She looked very sad, very miserable. And I just heard him raising his voice to her and just like eating it, shoveling his fries in his mouth and looking at her. And he said something mean. I don't even remember what it was, but it was, just, I could tell he was like humiliating her in public. Like he thought he was this badass, and she just looked so broken over there. And I just wanted to be like, bitch, wake up. You don't need this piece of shit. But I hate to say it's not like that's a rare thing. I see it a lot. Is that you? Are you the woman sitting over there looking miserable, not eating, with a loss of appetite? Hey, that's a trauma symptom, by the way. Do you feel broken and not know why? Do you feel like you can't live without your toxic partner? Do you feel like you're stuck and you can't provide for yourself and your family because you're worthless and you're a piece of shit because he's told you that? Or not told you that, just made you believe in more subtle ways. Those could be signs that you're being emotionally abused. And it is absolutely crap, the things he's telling you are making you feel about yourself. Take it from me, who has been there, done that, who did not have a job for over 10 years and thought I would never be able to support myself and my family. Guess what? I am an independent woman now. When I used to think no one would want me, no one would want me career-wise. No one would want me relationship-wise. And I'm remarried now and I'm happy. It can be done. You're not stuck. You just think you are because you've been emotionally abused. Thank you so much for listening. If you love the show, please leave a rating, a review. And if you know anyone who also might love the show or who could benefit from this information, please be sure to share it and subscribe. The more we get this out to people, the more people we can help. And I truly believe there's so many women who need to hear these words because so many women are feeling stuck. Also, if you're looking for me, you can usually find me on the gram at author Kat Adams, and be sure to head over to my website, and that's Kat Adams, Adams with a double D's.com. Subscribe to my newsletter for the latest information. Also, when you subscribe, you're going to get a free novella. And just be forewarned, my raunchy rom-com is as dirty as my mouth. So if that's your thing, go for it. It's super hilarious. But thank you again for tuning in. Until next time, please stay safe, and I'll see you on the other side.